Welcome back to part 2 of this week's Shabbat services for August 8th, 2020, Saturday. And we are going to begin with the Torah portion. We are doing this week Parashat Ekev, and that translates into because. And we're going to be starting in chapter 7 of Deuteronomy, verse 12. Then it will happen as a result of your listening to these ordinances when you keep and do them, that Adonai your God will keep with you the covenant kindness that he swore to your fathers. He will love you, bless you, and multiply you. He will also bless the fruit of your womb and the fruit of your soil, your grain and your new wine and your oil, the increase of your herds and the young of your flock in the land that he swore to your fathers to give you. From all peoples you will be blessed. There will not be male or female barren among you or your livestock. Adonai will remove all sickness from you, and he will not inflict on you any of the terrible diseases of Egypt that you knew, but will inflict them on all who hate you. You will devour all the peoples Adonai your God gives over to you. Your eye is not to pity them. You are not to serve their gods, for that would be a snare to you. Suppose you say in your heart, these nations are more numerous than I. How can I drive them out? You are not to be afraid of them. You are to be sure to remember what Adonai your God did to Pharaoh and to all Egypt, the great trials that your eyes saw, the signs and wonders, and the mighty hand and outstretched arm by which Adonai your God brought you out. So will Adonai your God do to all the peoples you fear. Moreover, Adonai your God will send the hornet against them, until the survivors and those in hiding perish before you. You should not be terrified of them, since Adonai your God is in your midst, a great, awesome God. A great and awesome God he is. Amen. Adonai your God will drive away those nations before you little by little. You will not be able to put an end to them all at once, or else the beasts of the field will multiply on you. But Adonai your God will give them over to you, and he will throw them into great confusion until they are destroyed. He will hand over their kings to you, and you will blot out their name from under the heavens. No man will stand up to you until you have destroyed them all. The carved images of their gods you are to burn with fire. You are not to covet the silver or gold on them, or take it for yourself, or you could be snared by it. For it is an abomination to Adonai your God. You are not to bring an abomination into your house, for you, like it, will be a blamed thing. You must utterly detest and utterly abhor it, for it is set apart for destruction. So these are all instructions that are given through God. Moses is still giving to the people that Adonai desires to bless the people, but they need to do a very important thing. They need to not be afraid of the people that are in the land, and they need to utterly destroy them. Actually, what we're going to find is the people in the land um, are giants. Um, Satan knew that these people were going to be coming into the Canaan land, the promised land, and he had worked overtime and repopulated this whole area with giants. And we're going to see that as we move forward, that's exactly what the Lord wanted utterly destroyed and not intermingling. And the other thing is, the people in these lands were already corrupt and worshiping pagan gods and would become a snare to God's people. And he knew that they would intermingle with them. Chapter 8, Not by bread alone. You are to take care to do the whole mitzvah that I am commanding you today, so that you may live and multiply and go in and possess the land that Adonai swore to your fathers. You're to remember all the way that Adonai your God has led you these 40 years in the wilderness in order to humble you, to test you, to know what is in your heart, whether you would keep his mitzvot or not. He afflicted you and let you hunger. Then he fed you manna, which neither you nor your fathers had known, in order to make you understand that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of Adonai. And I want to fast forward here. This is the Old Testament, but I want to fast forward to Matthew 4, chapter 4, where Yeshua is addressing the devil himself. And he's going back to this when the devil is telling him, if you're the Son of God, tell him these stones, tell these stones to become bread. And Yeshua says, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. And that's in Matthew chapter 4, verse 4. So back to Deuteronomy, in that same statement, man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of Adonai. Neither did your clothing wear out on you, nor did your foot swell these 40 years. Now you know in your heart that as a man disciplines his son, so Adonai your God disciplines you. So you are to keep the mitzvot, meaning commandments, of Adonai your God, to walk in his ways, and to fear him, for Adonai your God is bringing you into a good land, a land of wadis with water, of springs and fountains flowing out in the valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley, vines, figs, and pomegranates, a land of olive oil and honey, a land where you will eat bread with no poverty, where you will lack nothing, a land whose stones are iron, and out of whose hills you can dig copper. So you will eat and be full, and you will bless Adonai your God for the good land he has given you. Take care that you do not forget Adonai your God by not keeping his mitzvot, ordinances, and statutes that I am commanding you today. And this is what Moses is telling the people. Otherwise, when you have eaten and are full and have built good houses and lived in them, and when your herds and flocks multiply, and silver and gold multiplies for you, and all that yours multiplies, then your heart will be haughty, and you will forget Adonai your God. He brought you out from the land of Egypt, from the house of slavery. He led you through the great and terrible wilderness, fiery serpents and scorpions, and thirsty ground, where there was no water. He brought forth water for you from the flinty rock. He fed you in the wilderness with manna that your fathers did not know, in order to afflict you and test you, to do you good in the end. You may say in your heart, My power and the might of my hand has made me this wealth. Rather, you are to remember Adonai your God, for it is he who gives you power to make wealth, in order to establish his covenant that he swore by your fathers, to your fathers, as it is this day. Now, if you do forget Adonai your God and go after other gods and serve them and worship them, I solemnly warn you today that you will certainly perish. Like the nations Adonai makes perish before you, so you will perish, since you would not listen to the voice of Adonai your God. So Moses is preparing the people. He's letting them know all the things that God is going to do for them. But They need to remember God. They need to remember Adonai, and everything that He has done for them. And they also need to keep the statutes and the ordinances and the commandments that were given to them. Otherwise, if they go and they forget Adonai and they start serving other gods, they're going to perish. They're going to lose their blessing and perish. So that was very interesting, too, the statement Moses made, how it is paralleled over to actually Yeshua dealing with the evil one and actually putting the evil one in his place by saying the very same thing. Man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of Adonai. And what Yeshua was doing spiritual warfare. Um, the evil one tries to take the word of God and twist it. Yeshua had a firm command of the word that he could just give it right back to the evil one, and there was nothing the evil one could do. It is part of spiritual warfare is having a good command of the word of God as well. That's one of the things that we need to be aware of. Chapter 9. Who brings down giants? Hear, O Israel, you are about to cross over the Jordan today to go in to dispossess nations greater and mightier than yourself, cities great and fortified up to the heavens. The people are great and tall, sons of the Anakim, the giants. You know them, and you yourselves have heard who can stand before the sons of Anak. But you will know today that Adonai your God is the one who is crossing over before you as a devouring fire. He will destroy them, and he will bring them down before you, so that you may drive them out and make them perish quickly, as Adonai has promised you. After Adonai your God has driven them out from before you, do not say in your heart, it is because of my righteousness that Adonai has brought me in to possess the land. It is because of the wickedness of these nations that Adonai is driving them out from before you. It is not by your righteousness or the uprightness of your heart that you are going in to possess their land. Rather, because of the wickedness of these nations, Adonai your God is driving them before you, and in order to keep the word Adonai swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, so you would understand that if not because of your righteousness, that Adonai your God is giving you this good land to possess, for you are a stiff-necked people. What happened to the tablets? Remember, never forget how you provoked Adonai your God to wrath in the wilderness from the day you left the land of Egypt until you came to this place. You have been rebellious against Adonai. At Horeb, you provoked Adonai to wrath, and Adonai was angry with you enough to destroy you. When I went up to the mountain to receive the tablets of stone, the tablets of the covenant that Adonai cut with you, I stayed on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. I did not eat or drink water. Adonai gave me the 2 tablets of stone written by the finger of God. Moreover, on them were all the words that Adonai had spoken with you on the mountain from the midst of the fire on the day of the assembly. Now at the end of 40 days and 40 nights, Adonai gave me the 2 tablets of stone, the tablets of the covenant. Adonai said to me, get up, go quickly down from here, for your people, whom you brought out from Egypt, have acted corruptly. They have quickly turned from the way I commanded them. They have made a molten image for themselves. Furthermore, Adonai spoke to me, saying, I have seen this people, and it is indeed a stiff-necked people. Leave me alone so that I may destroy them and blot out their name from under the heavens. Then I will make you into a nation mightier and greater than they. So I turned and came down from the mountain while the mountain was burning with fire. Now the 2 tablets of the covenant were in my 2 hands. When I looked, you had indeed sinned against Adonai your God. You had made yourself a metal calf. So quickly you had turned aside from the way Adonai had commanded you. So I took hold of the 2 tablets, threw them out of my 2 hands, and smashed them before your eyes. Then I fell down before Adonai like the first time. For 40 days and 40 nights I did not eat bread or drink water, because of all your sin that you committed, doing evil in Adonai's sight, provoking him to anger. For I was afraid of the fierce wrath and fury which Adonai bore toward you, to destroy you. But Adonai listened to me that time also. Adonai was angry enough with Aaron to destroy him. So I prayed for Aaron, and at the same time I took your sin, the calf you had made, and burned it in the fire. I crushed it, grinding it up so well that it was as fine as dust. And I threw its dust into the wadi flowing down from the mountain, again at Taberah and Massa. At Kibroth Hattaavah you provoked Adonai to wrath. When Adonai sent you from Kadesh Barnea, saying, "Go up and possess the land I have given you," then you rebelled against the commandment of Adonai your God, and didn't believe him or listen to his voice. You have been rebellious against Adonai from the day that I knew you. So I threw myself down before Adonai those 40 days and 40 nights, because Adonai had said he would destroy you. I prayed to Adonai and said, "O Lord Adonai, do not destroy your people, your inheritance that you have redeemed through your greatness and brought out from Egypt with a mighty hand. Remember your servants, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Pay no attention to the stubbornness of this people or to their wickedness or their sin. Otherwise the land from which you brought us out may say, because Adonai was not able to bring them into the land that he spoke of to them, and because he hated them, he has brought them out to kill them in the wilderness. Yet they are your people, your inheritance that you brought out by your great power and your outstretched arm." So Moses was reminding them, he was reminding them of what he did for them as well, when he actually stood in the gap for them. Otherwise, God was about to destroy them. He stood in the gap for them so they would not be utterly wiped out. God was going to wipe them out and start all over with Moses, um, for what they were doing, because they were doing the very thing that really provoked anger in Adonai. Was they had a they got impatient, and they had a golden calf built for themselves to worship, and that is one of the very things that God told them not to do, is to worship images or make any kind of images of little g gods, that they were only to bow down and worship God, the Creator. So they had gone bad right away, and Adonai saw this, told Moses to get down and deal with these people. He was going to destroy them, and Moses had to plead for them. Um, and then they fell into unbelief later. Um, and Moses is reminding them that God was ready to wipe them out then as well. And Moses had reminded God that, these are your inheritance. And if you don't if you wipe them out, the other nations are going to say that God couldn't do this, and he brought them out just to kill them. So God did listen to Moses. Moses was a great intercessor for the people, even though they had done wrong, terribly wrong, in the eyes of Adonai. The other thing that I want to mention is, for 40 days and 40 nights, Moses was in the presence of the glory of God. So imagine how he felt. And he was coming down, probably so full of the Ruach, the Spirit of God, and then suddenly he sees the people. I mean, he couldn't even come down and share his experience with the people, and he saw they had already gone astray. So Moses became angry with the people too, and he threw the tablets that God had actually, the finger of God had wrote the commandments on. He threw them and they broke. And bear with me, my voice is a little not right. I was sneezing. My allergies are up today, so that's why my throat sounds a little raspy at the moment. I am going to come back with part 3 of the Torah reading because I'm already at 20 minutes on this recording.